Howdy everyone and welcome. On today's episode, I'm in Northeast Arizona at Homolovi State Park. I'm here to seek out some old archaeological sites that have some old pueblos dating back to the 14th century that seem intriguing, as well as some other hiking opportunities. So if you want to explore one of Arizona's state parks with me, I'd love to have you join me. So let's go see if it's worth a stop. One thing that just kind of sticks out when I get here is the land, the people that used to live here, that they called home. Look at how expansive and barren and beautiful it really is. And not sure how good that's gonna come out, but you can actually see the San Francisco peaks of Flagstaff off in the distance. That's probably about 70 miles away or so from my current location. We're east of that. So you can see behind me, that's my campsite. So I'm actually camping here at the state park. So camping is a thing. It's actually a beautiful campground. We did a campground guide episode on this place. If you want to check it out, I'll put a link down in the description below. Highly recommended though. All right, I'm in the old trusty Cactus Atlas mobile, driving away from the campsite. My first stop is simply named Homolovi 1. It's one of 2 archaeological sites that you can visit here. All right, I've landed at the parking lot for the first site. I wanted to show you something really quick though. There are a lot of bugs here, by the way. I don't know what they are. They're not mosquitoes, but there's lots of them. So beyond this sign is the Little Colorado River. You can see it flowing actually really well. And check that out, quicksand. I love quicksand, in movies of course. I'm also a little worried. It's the monsoon season and there's no rain predicted for today. And there's this big cloud above me and I'm hearing thunder noises. Getting nervous here. So there's some signs here that I'm gonna read about this area. I'm guessing this is a map of the archaeological site. It looks huge. For you guys, you get the abridged version. Apparently it looks something like this. Yeah, and you know, it's kind of weird you see this. You never find stuff, but I actually think I found some stuff earlier today. So I was out hiking behind my campground, kind of in the region where I did the intro to this video actually, and I kept finding these really flat pieces of what looked like, you know, like a pottery jar or something, you know, maybe like 1/4 of an inch thick. One side was kind of like white as if it was painted on. It didn't look modern, and they were just sitting there in the sand. So who knows, maybe it was pottery, and I followed the rules. I left it there. I didn't want to break the rules and take it, so I did my good deed for the day. Chances are it was nothing, you know? So here's the trail. There's one other person that just arrived. He's hustling to the site. I think he's afraid of the rain. He's not stupid like me, walking around with some electronics underneath a storm cloud of sorts. Don't want to pull a Ben Franklin out here. I don't see lightning bolts, but the sound of thunder's enough. I mean, this isn't wise, probably. I'm so short on time, though. It's like, do I err on the side of caution, or do I just keep pushing forward? So, I'm moving forward. There's a little gate here. A lot of gates at this park, I've noticed, in other places too. Because I think there's a lot of livestock roaming the surrounding countryside. So it looks like we're walking up this hill here. I don't know if this is the beginning of the archaeological site. I think it is. I think I see structures here built into the hill, like foundations. So that gentleman went straight up the hill in the middle. I think I'm gonna go this way. Maybe it's like a loop. Let him enjoy that side so I don't bother him with my talking. The river's right here. You see all that growth. So these people would have built their residence near the water, which made sense. I think they did a lot of agriculture in their time. You know, I'm kind of scanning around and I see, looks like a lot of rubble and stuff. I do see some unnatural looking stonework. Pretty sure that's probably part of the site. I don't know if you're supposed to wander freely through there. It's very overgrown. I don't feel comfortable. I don't want to damage anything, nor do I want to come across a rattlesnake or something. I know they have a lot of those here. Check it out. This is the first really well-formed structure that we've come across here. Once again, I believe these are from the 14th century, so 1300. I keep seeing like 1200s too on some of the things that I've read. Very amazing. Yeah, people are like putting stuff here. I mean, look at that. It's got patterns in it. That's kind of reminiscent of the stuff I was finding. That looks like pottery. Look. I bet you that is pottery. Oh, that's so amazing. So I guess people find this stuff on the ground and they put it up here. That looks like an arrowhead or the start of an arrowhead or some kind of a cutting tool. Oh, that one has paint on it, I think. Can you guys see that? Wow, that is over the top cool to actually see like real artifacts. Yeah, I'm not gonna take any of them, but if they're here on display like that, I'm assuming they are for us to touch and experience. So that's unlike anything I've seen at other sites. I've never seen like real fragments of pottery and cutting tools. I mean, scanning the ground and looking around, I mean, that to me right there looks like maybe something. I mean, people lived here and you would expect to find a lot of stuff, and I found more. No way, look at this. You can actually see like really exquisite painting and lines on there. Oh my God. That is amazing. Look, there's patterns on it. Wow. That is so cool. There's another small pile here too. Okay, so I thought we would just see a few foundations of some ruins. I didn't expect to actually see pottery shards with paint still on them and patterns. Wow. There's more right here too. Look at that. Well, there's a lizard too. Look at that. More cutting tools. I take it. They're really sharp. You could actually cut your finger on that. Yeah, I've never been to a place like this before. I had no expectations of seeing all of these pottery shards like that. I'm more into that than anything else because I've seen tons of foundations and pueblos and things on my journeys. Never this though. Oh, this one's amazing, look. You guys see that? Oh, I wish I had more time now because I could spend all day out here looking for stuff like that. So I would say less impressive are the foundations. I mean, I love this stuff because keep in mind, I always say that people like you and me lived here hundreds of years ago, surviving out in this pretty harsh environment. And you can see below the Little Colorado River, at least the bank, I think. So you could see how close to the river these people chose to live, and they lived up on this hilltop here. So that's a good choice. Oh, look, it's the mother lode. This is the best collection yet. Look at that. I mean, these things are everywhere. You got some over there. You got some over there. You got plenty over there and over there and over here. Here's another structure, or what remains. Up here on the hillside. What the heck is this? Oh, it's hot. It burns my fingers. But that looks like something, I don't know, maybe it's natural. I am passing by tons of just pottery shards. At this point, you've kind of seen the gamut of what I'm seeing, so it's kind of pointless to keep filming and filming the same thing over and over. But it's so fascinating to think that these were utilities that people used in their day-to-day life. Probably food storage. I don't know if they used them as cups to drink water or something, who knows? I need to get less ignorant of these things. And if you just look at the ground here and look at how many fragments of things, I found some, look. I actually just found a piece of pottery, like right here. It just jumps out at you. I'm gonna go lay this on the other stack because it's got a cool pattern on it. Check me out. It's my junior archaeologist badge. All right, so you guys know I'm keeping it honest here. I'm putting it right there. I mean, that took no effort to find that. I just looked at a big pile of rubble and it was laying right there. So it is all over the place here. I mean, look at that. Here's some more. That is a cool piece right there too. I'm gonna go lay this one right over here. I mean, seriously, look how easy this is. Look at that. That is definitely pottery. Okay, so my hopes were not high coming here to this place, to be honest with you. I thought it would be, you know, a lot of more of the same of what I've seen. That exceeds all my expectations. Seeing the pottery fragments everywhere. Bugs. There are so many bugs. Oh my God. I'm going through a swarm here. Ugh, jeez. All right, I'm gonna go to the next site because I'm short on time here. All right, so I'm back in my nice air-conditioned car, heading over to the second site now. Once again, very simply named. This one is Homolovi 2. I didn't realize how far spread out these places were here. Yeah, these are pretty spread out. This is still a little worrisome to me. Big old rain cloud just looming right overhead. All right, so you might be wondering, where did all the clouds go? Why are you wearing a different t-shirt? What happened? Well, it's actually the next morning, the day after when I started filming this. And if you remember, well, you certainly remember because it was probably just a few seconds ago, there were some dark clouds looming on the horizon, and that became a storm very quickly. And the wind kicked up. I kind of got up to the top of the hill. I couldn't film anymore because the wind was just brutal. And then it started to rain. And then the park closed. So I came back the next morning and we're continuing our exploration here. And you could see the path at this one is very, very well paved. They did a really good job. So aside from the slight grade to climb, I'd say this is a highly accessible path. So I'll give you a pro tip. Technically the gates are open at 8 a.m. It's a little bit before 8 a.m. I got here about 7:45 and I saw the gates were open before that. So I just drove on in. I'm camping here. Not trying to break rules, but it was open. I paid my camping fee, so I paid my entry to the site by doing that. So I figured why not just get an early start. If I get yelled at, I get yelled at. Just as with the first archaeological site, if you pick through all of this debris here, you will find pottery shards. I verified that yesterday actually. I saw some people, oh, here we go. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. Perfect timing. Look at that. This one in particular is amazing. So I've been thinking about it more and more, and I'm a human being. And I'd be lying if I told you that I wasn't tempted to pocket one or two of those things. And I am not going to do that, so no worries there. But just the thought of owning a piece of history, something someone probably created hundreds of years ago, another human being whose line in time kind of connected from them making that item, using it to me here, filming a YouTube video, it blows my mind. It's really cool. So I get the temptation. I understand that fully. The problem that I have though is that if everybody did that, if everybody just said, oh yeah, well just one, I'm just gonna take one, then there'd be nothing for anybody else to visit. So it belongs in a museum. So here we are at Homolovi 2. So basically around 1330, a group of people arrived here from the Hopi Mesas 60 miles north. And then they built this little town up here, I believe on this hillside where you see a lot of that rubble. That's probably remnants of old buildings actually, like right there in front of us. These flies, man. The flies here are absolutely brutal. They don't let up. Oh look. Actually it was kind of a bee, not a fly. All right, so here's a beautiful, beautiful example of their architecture. The sign here in front of me says that this was typical rooms for domestic activities. And it says if you look at that wall directly in front of us, there's actually a sealed door. The sign doesn't say if this was reconstructed or partially reconstructed. So I don't know, maybe that is the original state, I don't know. Notice how there's holes, basically, like pits, in a lot of these structures. These would have been pueblo structures, probably similar to what we just saw. Those were caused by treasure hunters and people looking for artifacts, non-archaeologists that didn't really know what they were doing, and they pretty much destroyed the area. Seriously though, look how far up the hill all that goes. You know, with each little hole, you almost can envision a little room, and maybe use your imagination to kind of fill out a village. So what do we have here? Oh wow. If I jumped in there, I don't know if I could get out in my current shape anyway. Okay, so this is what's known as a kiva. Reading a sign, this thing is 14 by 17 by 6 feet. Almost looks more than 6 feet deep, especially over there on this side. But it says it was primarily used by males of the tribe, but women and children were sometimes allowed in for ceremonial purposes. I guess you could say this is the original man cave. So this is a really awesome view. This sign points out that you're looking straight ahead at the tallest peaks in Arizona. The San Francisco peaks, way off on the horizon. So the trail kind of winds, we're on top of that hill, it just kind of winds around in a loop. I don't know if there's a preferred direction, I don't think it really matters, to be honest. We're leaving archaeological site number 2, or Homolovi 2. That was really cool. You saw some of the best defined structures up there, the kiva and that other section that had what appeared to be maybe partially reconstructed, not sure. Really enjoyed that. The next stop on our adventure today is the Tsu Vö Trail. I'm sure I'm butchering that. Anyway, it's a short loop trail, I think, that goes in between these twin buttes. You're supposed to be able to see some artifacts as well as some petroglyphs maybe, so I'm really excited to see what we find. And Tsu Vö, in Hopi, I believe the information pamphlet says that means rattlesnake. And it's also very encouraging to see that. All right, the first few steps of the Rattlesnake Trail. It's time to get my petroglyph glasses on. I always struggle to see them. They don't always pop right out at you. So if you guys are watching the video and you see some, feel free to drop me a comment. You can see there's a lot of boulders strewn about here. I could see why this would be nice rattlesnake habitat. Just seems rattlesnakey. This looks like lava rock to me. I'm probably correct that that is lava rock, because when we were filming Flagstaff earlier and you saw that really big mountain or peaks off in the distance, that was an old volcano that did erupt, actually. It used to be as big as Mount Fuji, I hear, and it kind of blew most of its top off. I think it's extinct today, but there's a lot of volcanic activity in the Flagstaff region, so I'm not surprised if someone like this is some kind of volcanic rock. I'm not quite sure. Those look like they may be petroglyphs or remnants of such. On closer inspection, I'm not so sure anymore. There's definitely lighter colored stuff there, but I can't make it out if that is a petroglyph. The geology is very curious too, because this is a different type of rock. This is very tan, brown, almost like sandstone looking, very flaky. So I'm pretty sure it's some kind of a sedimentary rock. So what the heck do you suppose that is? Is that an eagle's nest? Definitely looks like some sort of nest. It is enormous. You guys see that? What the heck? I see something curious here. It's like this circular pattern in the rock. I've seen a couple other things like that. Usually they're not as ground into the rock like that. But some of those things, when shadows are cast at certain times of the year, at certain times to predict when the solstice is. A lot of these cultures were agricultural cultures, so not saying that's what it is. It looks like one of those things kind of to me though. All right, so that concludes, I think, our little tour of Homolovi State Park. Now, I didn't show you everything in this video. There is a really cool pioneer cemetery, kind of on the other side of the visitor center. You'd have to walk down a short trail. A bunch of Mormon settlers came out here in the 1800s and tried to settle the area and eventually had to abandon, but the cemetery still remains and there's original headstones there. I included that as part of our campground guide episode. There is a campground here in the state park also, by the way, that I stayed at. So do check that video out if you want to see the cemetery and the campground. I'll put a link in the description down below. If you're interested in visiting Homolovi State Park, head on over to cactusatlas.com. We'll put a link in the description down below. We've got a lot of useful information there to help you plan, including the weather forecast. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe, and find us on social media at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It belongs in a museum.